Do you want to know how we human beings ended up talking? I mean, other animals don't talk most of the time, right? But did they help us learn to talk? What did we learn about language from bizarre experiments conducted by kings on infants? What was the language no adult knew? And who made up the words in the English language? Well, this book has the answers to all these questions and much, much more. And today we get the answers straight from the horse's mouth. My viewers often ask me to recommend books for children to read, and now I found the perfect book to recommend. It's called The Talking Book, and it's written by Jane De Suza. And what an amazing coincidence! Here she is. Hello, Jane. Welcome to my show.
Thank you, English Nut, for inviting me over. And despite being called horse and all that, I'm delighted to be here. I enjoy your videos very much.
Thank you very much. At some point in the interview, you can maybe explain this phrase straight from the horse's mouth.
I will. Okay,
Uh,
yes.
uh, because I think you covered it in your book as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm waiting to.
right. So let's start with the questions. As it says on the cover of your lovely book, it's about the wild journey of communication from caveman to AI. I really enjoyed reading the book, though it's meant for children. I guess I'm a child at heart. But why do you think it's a book children should read? What will they get out of it? And will they enjoy reading it?
They will. So non-fiction books are bought heavily by parents, okay, and they'll end up on shelves, and so parents feel good that the kids are stuffing themselves with information. But it is our duty as authors, I feel, to make a kid want to read, make them reach out for that book. And what about this book? Curiosity is a habit, I feel. Wanting to know, challenging the status quo, learning, these are all habits. And though children come with natural curiosity, we do a good job of stamping it out early enough. So this book is for those who want to know much more about what I'm doing, what we're doing right now, speaking, listening, organizing our thoughts.
Yeah, but I also think, I mean, if I may say something from the point of view of a reader, somebody who's read your book, I just think that the way that you've dealt with some very big topics, heavy topics, but you've done it in a really fun way with so many examples and anecdotes. I think that's what appealed to the child in me, and I think that's what would appeal to the children who will pick up this book and read it. How do you write for children on topics like language? How is it different uh, from writing a book on a similar subject for adults, for example?
One word answer, okay? Stories. Okay? Children love stories. I mean, the child in you and me loves stories. So I'll give you a story, okay? We'll start with the story. I wanted to challenge this, I wanted to throw up a question about whether animals could communicate. They had a language that they speak. We know that whales, all male whales sing the same song for a year, an entire year, the same song. Do they communicate? So this was 2012, South Africa. A conservationist called Lawrence Anthony, who had done a lot to protect many animal species, passed away. From 12 miles away, okay, in the forest, two herds of elephants began to walk towards his house. No one told them, no one invited them, but they began to, amble over slowly. And people in his house could see the elephants coming, were wondering what they would do. And these were the elephants that he had protected. He'd saved their lives. They came to the periphery of his residence, and they stood there. They stood there quietly, paying their respects. Elephants mourn their dead. And after 2 days of quietness, they just turned and walked away. So if that's not communicating, I don't know what is, right? So there are many, many stories like this, but would get a child to question things.
Wow. I mean, that's an amazing story. Uh, it almost seems as if elephants have some sort of extrasensory perception. I mean, without language, without uh, any sort of words or sounds, I don't know how the message reached them about the demise of their friend, and
Right.
that made
Yeah.
them make that long journey. It's like truly an amazing story. And uh, this is just
Yeah.
one of the many amazing stories in your book, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what I hope excites young readers, and then they turn the page and want to know more. Or not even just in my book, just go out and read more.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So now let's take a step back. What made you write about language in the first place?
So I thought about this, and I think where the answer has led me to is surprised me too. So I'm a mystery nut, okay, and I love whodunits. I love crime mysteries, and I like to find out what lies behind or lies beyond something. What you see is not what you get. So the books I write, I mean, there are some books here you can see, but I've written books on mental health and on stereotyping. So the books I write are about these questions that I have myself. So at some point, these things that we take for granted, these words, the way words come into your head, what's in your head, what's in the vocal cords, what's in your listening apparatus that you can understand language. So I began to read about it, went down a rabbit hole, multiple rabbit holes. And then I said, this has to get to youngsters. They have to know this, they have to question things like that. That's my reason for writing about language. But you post about language too. So, what's your reason? And more intriguingly, why have you called yourself the English nut?
Hmm. So I'll answer both your questions. In fact, it's interesting that you asked me the second question because I've actually never answered it, even for my followers. So it's a
Yeah,
good
first.
question that you've asked me. So to answer your first question, I love the English language. I've always loved it since I was a child. And I've also always had a bad habit of correcting people's English. When people talk to me, I'm mentally editing what they say. So if they're making mistakes, in my head, I sort of correct the sentence. And sometimes what's even worse, I don't do it in my head. I get vocal about it too. And this really annoys the people who are talking to me. And to your second question, why nut? Well, as we know, the word nut has many meanings, the most common being the hard, dry fruit of certain trees. It can even mean someone who's crazy, which perhaps I am. But it can also refer to someone who is extremely enthusiastic about something. So, an English nut is a person who is super enthusiastic about the English language. That's me.
Yes, most definitely. And I think you've spread that to a lot of your followers. I can see that in the comments.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. So in some cases I succeed, uh, not always, but yeah, that's my endeavor. And it's like they say, when you love doing something, it's not a job, it's not a chore, it's just a lot of fun, and that's what I try. I try to have a lot of fun with the language. I like to keep it playful, and I think that's what promotes learning as well. So, okay, uh, my next question to you is, how are new words born?
That's a much more fun question. Okay, nothing dark about it. And words, at least I think about 1,000 words are added only purely in English to the Oxford English Dictionary a year. That's what I read somewhere.
Yeah.
Words come up from all over, right? We could coin a
Yes.
word right now, but we'd have to get some people to use it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
words are added together. Some come are kicked up from history. For example, some very interesting ones, which I've got in the book, called where the word salary come from. So salary during the Roman Empire, back, was the salt had just been used by only salt was used by the upper classes. But when people who worked wanted to be paid, they asked for payment in salt. And the word for salt was sal, from which salary comes. I know you've covered a whole lot of this etymology in your
Yeah. Yeah.
videos. Another
Right.
one which you must have covered is quarantine. You've done that, right?
Yes.
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 So the times of the Black Death, when the ships couldn't come to shore because the sailors would infect people. So quaranta giorni. So the question I'm raising is, they were meant to be there for 40 days. If they decided it would be 30 days, we wouldn't be calling it a quarantine anymore. We'd be calling it a quarantine or a ventine or a whatever.
Yes.
Sanctine. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, that's one way words came up. Right now, words keep evolving because of events that happen. The pandemic itself gave us words like, I don't know, elbow pump and coronials. So
Right.
events, there are certain events that happen all around the world, and there are no words to describe it. Like in Hindi, there's around weddings, especially, there's the mehendi, the roko,
Yeah.
the milan. So, and some very interesting ones in the book, which I've dug up from here and there, like the German Polterabend. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what the guests do is it's a good way to recycle, actually. They bring all the stuff that they have in ceramic or breakable stuff, even an old, say, wash basin or a toilet pot, and they bring it over and they break it. So
Okay.
at the wedding, the evening before, they start breaking all this, and there is Abend this evening in German, and Polter, I believe, means making a noise. So this is a word that's coined because of the wedding. The idea is that the couple will start their wedding with hard work together. That's the
Right.
the theory. So that's how words come up, because there isn't anything right then and there to describe it, and so we find a word.
Yeah. So these Germans seem quite nutty too. Yeah. And you were talking about words that came up during the lockdowns and Corona. One of my favorite words that were coined at that time was a quarantini, which is a cocktail. It's a drink that some people invented and became a popular drink during that time because people were locked up in their houses. So they entertained themselves by making interesting beverages for themselves. Yeah.
I've heard of quarantines, those who went through their troubled
Tea- tea-
teenage.
uh, right.
Hmm.
So I think let's wrap up now. I want to ask you any last thoughts, Jane, any message that you would have for our viewers?
Buy the book, uh, subscribe, follow this channel. No, but yeah, what I'd like to say is stay curious. Stay curious. Don't give in to complacency. Stay curious, challenge the status quo, ask questions about what's beyond, and talk more, read more. I think we need more communication. Thank you, Prash.
Absolutely, absolutely. So once again, this is Jane's wonderful book. I recommend it not just to children, but to adults who are interested in finding out how languages came to be, how human communication evolved over the centuries. So yeah, get this book.
I'm the English Nat. Bye for now.
I'm the English Nut. Bye for now.